We certainly are living in a moment of history in Destiny 2, fellas. We got Queensbreaker and Lord of Wolves metas. Arc subclass is being used for once unironically, and hunters no longer needing to be roly-poly hunters anymore. I don't think I've ever had as much fun running a solo Master Nightfall as I did solely because of this build here. Shout out to Unknown Traveler for showing me this build. This Arc Hunter build makes you hug the entire battlefield. High mobility with jumping around constantly, and making use of an aspect that was literally never touched by anyone ever, and turning it to be one of the best aspects on the Arc Hunter. Pairing it with the Gifted Conviction, which is able to grant a massive amount of damage resist, and in high-end content like this, you're definitely gonna need it. Along with the help of Amplified, now granting you an additional 15% damage resist on top of both Gifted Conviction's 50% when maxed out at ×4, and Spark of Resist's 25%. Using this formula here, you can see that just by playing into the near infinite loop of Ascension and Tempest Strike and throwing in tier 10 resilience on top of it all, we will be walking around with a passive 77.69% damage resist. But it really doesn't stop there. It's great to know that you won't die, but lethality also matters. And with the changes that Bungie has brought to the Arc subclass, giving it bolt charge, along with us just constantly jolting everything, this build is more than everything you need for any dungeon or nightfall clear. But let's get into the build, starting off with the subclass. Now, for the super, it really is up to you. Normally, I'm a fan of Gathering Storm, just overall great boss damage, but I gave this one a shot in the strike that I was in, and being able to just shoot all the way over to the snipers, just to be able to shoot right back into the midst of all of the fighting, was pretty nice, and kept the identity that I wanted to keep, which was being super mobile. But choose what you will. Up next for our dodge, we do have Gambler's Dodge. Bungie just made the goated change to let Ascension also proc the respective ability of your dodge. So with Gambler's Dodge, our melee does come back. Thank Bungie. Now for the melee, I went with, for the very first time ever, Disorienting Blow, for the functionality of it being able to stun unstoppable champions. Now if there are no unstoppable champions in the strike or dungeon or whatever encounter you're trying to do, that is honestly all the better for you, because no matter what you ran for your melee ability, combination blow or not, you wouldn't be using it anyways. For our melee, 99.99% of the time will be used just for our Tempest Strike, dishing out a very decently damage dealing wave that will also be applying jolt to targets. For the grenade, choose what you want. This part doesn't matter either. Now for the aspects, I'm sure you could have pieced together that it is both Tempest Strike and Ascension. I want to tell you something about Tempest Strike, and it's the part of it that says defeating jolted targets will grant bolt charge stacks. This is literally from any source. Bolt shot and jolting feedback are on the table for this to grant you bolt charge. And because of this fact, Tempest Strike might have just become a hard locked aspect. Genuinely. Even if you were to take this over to the roly-poly punchy hunter build again, just to have Tempest Strike and Lethal Current on a combination blow build, now it can take full advantage of bolt charge. Let's get back on track here. Now I'm gonna take this time to teach you the combo for this. The super easy combo of just making sure that you use your Tempest Strike, i.e. your melee, first, then following it all up with Ascension. This keeps the combo going with no wasted abilities to be seen. For using Ascension first and then Tempest Strike, you'll find out soon that you just got yourself in the dead end of no ability spam. But now with all that settled, it's time to get into the fragments. First up, the obvious. Spark of Resistance. I know that we are all accustomed to the Prismatic subclass, but rejoice at the remembrance that Spark of Resistance is a 25% damage reduction when surrounded. Next up, we do have Spark of Ions. This is the main reason you're able to spam abilities so much. It states that by defeating a jolted enemy or just killing them with bolt charge, it will create an ionic trace. And that is, quite literally, the only way you're killing anything with this build. Bolt charges come passively, and everything stays jolted. These ionic traces do seek you out, which is so awesome of them, and they grant you ability energy to every ability. Ionic traces do not segregate. But up next, we have a fragment that makes this build all the more lethal. Spark of Frequency. Every way that we can possibly have gained bolt charge is now doubled. And these thunder strikes don't mess around. Straight up chunking champs. So having them come more frequently, the better. After that, we have the fragment that brings some survivability to this build. Arc doesn't really have any way to heal, unlike like the other light counterpart subclasses, and that's where Spark of Amplitude comes in. Rapidly defeating targets while amplified will spawn an orb of power. Pairing this with the tried and true recuperation and better already will keep you in the fight permanently. Lastly, we have Spark of Shock. It makes your grenades jolt targets. It's alright, I guess. But now with the subclasses all hashed out, let's get into weapons, and we got a few great recommendations for you. Starting off with the obvious, we have any weapon with Volt Shot or jolting feedback. For the more casual players that just want to use this build but isn't brave enough just to jump into the fight, especially in the high-end content that this is, these are great weapons to use. They grant the damage resist with Gifted Conviction, and along with the fact that they also will build you Bolt Charge still. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about these. They are great options, but it's time for some options with a bit more hair on the chest. I offer you two options: Safe Route or the Absolute Carnage route. Both options requiring you to be knee-deep in ads, of course. You can either triple your Bolt Charge gains, or just make sure you never die. One looks a lot cooler than the other. Unless you're actually a goat, it is not viable for you. Velocity Baton with Attrition Orbs, pairing that with the mods of Recuperation and Better Already, will just constantly be healing you throughout the entire fight. But Psycho Pump with Rolling Thunder just builds Bolt Charge absurdly quick, especially if you have Spark of Frequency on to pair with Rolling Thunder when it's enhanced. Pick your poison. And with all that said, you still do have room for Queensbreaker. Perfect for that Brig that has a 75% damage reduction to literally everything that doesn't hit the precision spot. Do not rely on this build for those guys. Trust me, you will be there forever. It's time to get into the mods. We have quite a few here that are quite needed. You can copy the screen for you right here, but we are going to get into these starting right now. So on the headpiece, I did leave this slot empty, mainly for the reason that it depends on what you're going with. If you're going with the Bolt Shot weapon, obviously it's going to be Arc Slap on the Arc Siphon. If you were going Psycho Pump with Rolling Thunder, obviously it would still be Arc Siphon, or I guess better yet, Harmonic Siphon, though you don't really need it. But if you are going the Velocity Baton route, more orbs, the better. The thing Prince Orbs as is, but having a Void Siphon on for that would just work out for it. Moving on down to the arms, these, believe it or not, do work with Tempest Strike. Do you need 3 on? Probably not. You could probably get away with just 2 and then slap on a reloader of the weapon that you are using. I guess as old habits die hard, I slapped on 3 only because of roly punchy build. That's all. Moving on down to the chest, we have your standard resist mods. Match it to the actual environment that you're in. If they're shooting arc at you, put on arc. For the legs, this is where probably the most important mods lie. So we have Recuperation and Better Already, which is just meant to keep you alive for as long as possible, you know? You're a tank as is, but at some point you are gonna die if you don't have some health incoming. So these two are really gonna hard carry you there. This is just so you get your class ability back all the faster. As you can tell, my mobility is only at tier 8. And with the footage that you have seen before, it's not really that much of a problem, mainly because of all the orbs I'm being spawned on top of insulation proccing into that. Lastly, we do have this. Now, this doesn't work with Ascension. Try as you will, I only keep it on just for me personally. I just never take it off. My class item stays the same no matter what. Reaper doesn't work either with Ascension. You have to regular dodge for that. But what you will want, especially for me, is Special Finisher. In that Master Strike, I ran double special, so I obviously needed the ammo badly. And that's pretty much all of that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Definitely give this build a try. I promise you it will be the most fun you will ever have inside. Grandmasters, Masters, doesn't matter. Just being hyper mobile, super engaged in the fight, seeing all the effects jump off your screen on top of just absolutely annihilating everyone. It is the most fun I have ever had in Destiny. Please give it a shot. But as of right now, this is where I will call my time. If you have enjoyed this video, hit like, hit subscribe. If you hated it, hit the dislike. Comment some of your favorite builds in the comments section, and I might even do a video on those if they are fun enough. But for right now, take care and peace.